Okay, so a couple months ago, the plot to the first episode of the live action One Piece was leaked online, and like it just had details. Like I'd seen like bullet points of details, and I thought it was pretty interesting. But yesterday, I actually found the leaked script to the first episode of the live action One Piece, and it was written by Matt Owens, and it's a revised pilot script for Netflix, and you know what? It's actually pretty good. Like I'm hoping this is real. It pays respect to a lot of the things in the lore, and expands things and adds like connective tissue with different things that are going on. And we have like that one anime only scene with Smoker as a child, seeing Gold Roger's execution. And we have an introduction of the Marines, Kong, who was just introduced recently, but he is important. So it actually makes sense that like he would A, be introduced early on, and B, be at Gold Roger's execution, which he was. So Kong was there. We have mentions of GARP, and Sengoku was also present. So it was actually really cool, like to see this, you know. And we already get hints of something going on between GARP and Sengoku, because there's some dialogue early on with Kong asking about where GARP is, and Sengoku says, as much as he needs one, I'm not his babysitter, or something like that. And I thought that was really cool to, like, you know, hint at that, but still hold off on GARP's actual appearance, because that's something that Oda does, which is really cool, you know. But like one small thing that happens early on in the script, which kind of gave me like a little bit, it was like I got a little bit scared, you know, that it was going to be bad, because it said, where's Admiral GARP? Anyone who's been reading and paying attention to One Piece should know that it's not Admiral GARP, it's Vice Admiral GARP, you know. So like I hope that's just a small typo that they're going to fix or something like that, because like that would, like, if GARP stays in Admiral, that kind of breaks, you know, some later elements of the story. So hopefully that's going to be fixed. But I have thought, like, what if GARP was an Admiral then, but he gets like demoted in this version? I don't know, like it would kind of make sense, but to him to being an Admiral, and then like he finds out once he gets promoted to Admiral, he realizes that he basically has to be the dickwasher to celestial dragons, you know. So then he gets himself demoted to Vice Admiral somehow. I don't like that idea too much, but I could see it happening. I could see if they do try something like that, I wouldn't be completely opposed to it, because that would actually give GARP some backstory that he's currently lacking. But at the same time, I think Oda has something in store for GARP's backstory, and I don't think adding upon it prematurely would be very good right now. So yeah, we also have a reference to Chapter 0 of One Piece, which was like, it was made as a tie-in for One Piece Strong World, and that was in like 2009. And the way we get introduced to this like little hint was Kong saying that since they're going to execute Gold Roger, that means they're going to get rid of piracy, hopefully, you know, that's going to be the end of piracy, you know. And so what he said was, no more incidents like that at Marineford. And that is a reference to hold on, that's not a reference to anything. I just realized that can't be what I'm thinking about now, because what I was thinking about was Shiki going to Marineford to, you know, to fight GARP and Sengoku, because Roger was dead, but Roger wasn't dead at that moment. So this is a reference to something completely different, and now I'm actually not sure what he's talking about. I'm curious, like what does that mean? I'll have to think about that. Or maybe someone can put it in the comments, because I'm kind of drawing a blank. Like, what happened at Marineford for the war and before Shiki? Like I said, Kong and Sengoku are present at Gold Roger's execution. Kong actually like kind of gives a speech that adds like a lot of references to like later world building and stuff. And I'm thinking maybe it might be too much, but maybe it could actually be cool for new fans, because here's the thing. I liked the initial simplicity of One Piece, and I liked how that kind of spirals into this insane complexity, But maybe new people might want something, especially like fans of live action television shows with more world building. They might want, a little bit more of a Game of Thrones vibe when it comes to world building, when we have like hints of a bunch of things happening from the very beginning, because that's what Game of Thrones kind of was. So yeah, maybe that's the kind of reasoning. But, it is nice for them to tease old fans too, to tease to fans who have been caught up in One Piece, tease to them all these things that have been happening. In Kong's speech during Gold Roger's execution, like, he talks about the world government, and he talks about the 5 elders, and tells the people that they must trust in their actions, and the world government is for the people. It's some references to like some things that all of us are familiar with, but we weren't familiar with it when the series first started. So I also like how Roger and Sengoku and Kong, like, they have like these like Roger's being smartass to Sengoku and Kong. I thought that was really cool, and it's actually kind of funny, Roger being Roger, and also Roger gives like a little bit of a monologue of his own. I found this part really interesting. Let me quote this exactly. It said, "Wealth, fame, power, knowledge. I found everything that this world has to offer, and I left it all in one piece." That is a 4Kids reference. That is a 4Kids reference. And that is amazing. That is great. That is wonderful. And knowing that Oda is like executive producer, so we pretty much know that he likely said yes to a lot of the changes and stuff made in here. It gives it something extra. That gives all the additions something extra, And all the small details that, any lesser adaptation would have forgotten, those are put in, Like, we have Roger dying with a smile, and then it cuts to like Shanks, talking about his execution and the Great Pirate Era, and he uses the word romance when he recounts the event, and like how all the pirates were inspired, to go out into the world and find the treasure, and so we have. The next scene is Shanks hanging out in Fuchsia Village with Luffy, and it's all good. Like, there's nothing to like complain about here. Luffy's love for freedom shines through, which is just amazing. That's really good. We have some really good foreshadowing of things going on in the world. The humor also seems like somewhat Oda-like. It's the way comedic timing works, and I think it'll also like depend on good actors and good direction. I guess that's very much how like the anime was, and it's got that timing that the manga has, and we'll just see if the characterization is good. We'll just have to see if like the right casting choices are made. So we also get some hints about how Shanks is low-key kind of a hypocrite for not letting Luffy aboard his crew, because when he first joined his first pirate crew, he was very young as well. I thought that was interesting. And we also get a hint to Yasop having a son, which we all know, like, what happens there. And they don't show Luffy stabbing himself in the face. That is understandable. It is a live action TV show, and so it might not sit well with very many people if we just saw like a 9-year-old or something like stab himself, with an actual knife in the face. So, but we do get a mention of it, and the script does say like there's a bandage on it. So like, yeah. There's also a reference to 56, which is like that number that Oda keeps using, relating to Luffy, because it's like 5, 6 in Japanese can be read as go mu, and gomu no mi, that's Luffy's fruit, So I really like we got those kind of Easter eggs and stuff. So I think that's really cool. I'm really hoping like we get, more references to 56, in the future. Oh yeah, and that particular touch I was talking about, that was Higuma. Like, that was the number of people that Higuma had killed. He had killed 56 people. Now, actually, I don't remember how many people he had killed. So maybe they're just lifting something from the original manga, and I'm just like not realizing it. So anyway, I also liked how we have Whoop Slap, who is like the mayor of the village that Luffy was from, and he's holding a newspaper about the Sun Pirates. And like that's a really small thing that I think it's really cool that they actually managed to like put in the script. That's not something like background, people would have decided to do. That's something that's in the script, I thought that was really cool. And there's no reference to like what that's gonna eventually mean, but we all know what it's gonna mean, And we have next a scene with Zorro and Mr. Seven, and that's like I think that's really good. It's like a teasing of events to come, which is like, and also it gives more of this vibe to new fans that this isn't necessarily going to be goofy and stupid. I think this is it's a pretty good scene. It's the Mr. Seven inviting Zorro to work with Baroque Works. Zorro declines because he can't be the boss, and he kills Mr. Seven. I think it was a pretty good scene. I think it's really just gonna depend on like the fight choreography, and the script does have like kind of an idea about what it wants to look like, but we'll only be able to see if what it looks like is gonna be good once we get the show. So, and then the next scene was with Alveta, and she was actually being a little bit scary and evil. I feel like the first villain needs to set up the tone and the villains coming forth. So it was the way the script kind of wrote it. It was kind of like saying that Alveta was supposed to be like super intimidating and evil, and like that's not really what she was in the beginning. But again, I think it does kind of fit when you have like a scene with Zorro literally cutting Mr. Seven in half, because that's what happened in the script. And then you cut to like a big goofy fat woman villain. I think that wouldn't fit so well. And it's not like she's completely unfunny either. It's not like she like all of her goofiness is taken out either. But if you just expected Alveta to just be only laughable, which is, I guess that's not even how she was in the manga, was she? So that's how that is. Also, like, there's a name drop to Don Krieg. When they are like collecting treasure, they say, what are we going to do about Don Krieg's tribute? So that's interesting. Like, were they connected or allied before? I don't remember anything about that. Was that just a tease, or was it like a real change to the plot? I think like from what the dialogue seems to tell us, like Don Krieg is probably one of the most powerful pirates in the East Blue, or the most, so that's how that is, I guess. What I'm saying is like, I guess like they're trying to like set that up from the beginning, which is fine. I don't quite remember anything about how pirates had to give Don Krieg a tribute or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily break the story or anything, but I guess I find it interesting. It does seem like they're trying to like connect everything, connect like all the big major people that Luffy's gonna fight eventually in the East Blue. Like they're all going to be alluded to. Like they've all been alluded to. There's a bit of dialogue between like some Marines about the current pirate scene in the East Blue. And there was also like a mention about how Morgan's going to take them all down, And I think it's actually kind of cool that we get like all this stuff, and also new fans, like they can have something to sort of grasp on about how pirates are now in the East Blue. And they're not just, when most of the pirates appear, like they're supposedly a big threat or something, or they have some kind of like really crazy notoriety about them, and this is kind of giving them the background of that notoriety. It's showing us what this notoriety really is, and I think that's pretty cool. I think that's going to be really interesting. And also I liked that the running gag of Zorro's sense of direction, or lack thereof, is actually staying in this version. That's pretty cool. So then we get like a scene of Luffy and Kobe, on their way to Shellstown, and Luffy is a bit less of a dick towards Kobe, which I guess that means they're gonna tilt more towards like that wholesome side of Luffy. But I do think seeing both parts of Luffy would be good. I think they're necessary. And I hope Like we do get more of that because Luffy does commit like a lot of violent acts, a lot of needlessly violent acts against various characters he meets along the way, but especially Kobe at the beginning, because that in the anime that's how you get introduced to him. I think we need to see more of that other side of Luffy because he's not just a good person, not just a good person. He is a good person, but he's not just a good person at the beginning, at least. If we're gonna have that taken out, I feel like that's kind of I don't know, like I'm not sure how I'll feel about that. But other than that, I think Luffy's spirit or whatever has been captured really well. Oh yeah, no, I messed up. So yeah, that scene I was talking about was not actually the on the way to Shellstown scene. That was with Luffy first meeting Kobe. Sorry. After that, there's like the fight against Alveta, and like one thing I think that seems removed is that Luffy doesn't like take out like a bunch of jobbers beforehand before taking on Alveta. I think we still need that, so I hope in a revised version we get to see that. So after they do that, after Alveta's defeated, they get on a boat and they head to Shellstown, and then after that the Lord of the Coast appears with Kobe and Luffy. I think that might mess with the flow of the story because like I don't know, I guess it kind of makes sense that they would move this scene here, because originally it was like right after the backstory with Shanks, but the way this version is going is like it kind of jumps from element to element. No, it doesn't mess with the flow of this episode, but it messes with the flow of the canon, I think, or because I don't know where else that scene would have gone, like since like the way the script went. I don't know where else this scene would have gone, but at the same time, like it makes sense for the Lord of the Coast to be around Dawn Island, because I kind of thought like the creature was supposed to be the Lord of the Coast of Dawn Island, like he mostly hung around there. So I guess he just swims around all around East Blue. So it also kind of potentially messes with the scale of the world, or like the sense of scale the East Blue has been kind of built on, because like how likely is it supposed to be for you to meet the exact same sea monster that you met as a child on a whole different island, so yeah, the flow, but again, the flow of the story I think works better in this episode the way it's been going. I don't think it could have gone anywhere else in this episode, like the way it's been kind of written, and I think you would need a whole rewrite of the episode to make it fit better. But yeah, so everything in this episode, in this script of this episode, is leading up to the meeting of Luffy and Zorro, and so like the way things are going down, it like builds up hype for both new and old fans, which is pretty good. There you've got lots of setup and teases for future stuff. Like it's cool for old fans who are familiar, and it's cool for new fans so they have an idea of like how big, like that there's a big ass world out there from the very start. And they did make sure to hold back enough, because there's plenty of things they could have made references to. They could have made references to like Ace, or like the Seven Warlords, or the Yonko, or something crazy like that, but they didn't, because that would have been too much, and old fans probably would have liked something like that, mentions like that at the beginning, but new fans would probably feel alienated or overloaded, and all in all, like, it's a pretty good script, which is way better, way more than what you can say for pretty much literally anything live action anime related in the Western Hemisphere. And my hopes are kind of high. I hope this script is real, and I hope, the actors, the direction, the special effects, everything else is on point. And, this could be quite all right.